guys and welcome, my name is Jude and today I am here to do a review for Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I'll actually be filming reviews for the whole trilogy today, though separate videos of course, so we're starting with the first one, Red Rising. Now Red Rising, it has to be one of the most exciting, entertaining stories that I've ever read, which of course lands it a spot on my favorite books of all time. It is worth noting though that I have already made a video review for this book. Though when I filmed that review I had just finished the first book and I was so excited that I just mumbled and jumbled really weird things and I was so giddy that I never actually made any thoughts. So I was trying to watch that review and I was just like, ugh, bah. Because just so you know, I decided to reread the whole series and just see if I loved it just as much, and I do. So when I finished the books, I just wanted to see what I had thought of them before, and I watched those reviews and I was like, oh no. No, I can't leave that video up on the internet. I need to make things better. So here I am today, refilming that review. So let's try this a second time. Now, in my previous review, I talked as little as possible about the book. I didn't want to tell you anything about the plot and I focused mainly on my feelings towards the story. On this review, I will be talking a bit more in detail as to the plot. It is a book that was released in 2014, so at this point, I just highly doubt that anyone within the bookish community hasn't already heard the basic premise of it. Though if you haven't and you're of the adventurous sort, then let me encourage you to read this book blindly. It's an amazing experience. I read it without knowing anything of the plot and I was just amazed at how everything was unfolding. So it's a great book that I can recommend as a blind date kind of thing. But right now I will talk about the basic premise of the book. No spoilers, of course. In the world of Red Rising, society is divided by colors, and Darrow, our main protagonist, belongs to the red color, which is the lowest caste in the system. As a red, he lived within the mines of planet Mars, working day and night just so hard to make the surface of the planet livable for future generations. A lie he's been led to believe. Soon after discovering the truth, he joins a rebel group who is determined to eliminate the color system and take down the golds. The golds being the highest in the caste system. A color which Darrow must infiltrate and pretend to be a part of. So after months and months of surgeries and just awful and painful training, he does it. He becomes a gold. And as a gold, he is now sent to the Institute, an academy for gold youth intended on developing their leadership skills so that they can one day rule. But it turns out to be a little bit more than that. And Darrow soon finds himself thrust into an arena where he must conquer or die trying. And it's so exciting! Red Rising has been constantly compared to the Hunger Games, and I do see the similarities in dynamics. I mean, I can see why they're compared to each other, but I think that at their very core, they are very different from one another. And in all honesty, I enjoyed Red Rising a lot more than the Hunger Games, partly because I thought that, I mean, within reason, you know, Red Rising seemed a little bit more realistic. It's a sci-fi, of course, so the whole reality thing is a lot more subjective, but the whole universe of Red Rising deals a lot with diplomacy and politics and how both are needed in order for revolution to come, which I feel that Hunger Games is just a lot more centered on the revolution aspect of things. So they're very different in how each author envisions change, how Suzanne Collins sees it, and how Pierce Brown sees it. Red Rising as the first book is a lot more visceral and a lot more raw and less polished than the sequels, due to the premise of it being an academy where they have to fight to be the conquerors or be killed. So Red Rising is just a lot more raw and there's just a lot of like dirty fighting and it's so exciting. I can't even stress that enough. The whole sentiment of the book is just pure excitement as to what will happen. And also what it means to be a true leader, what leadership means, what's the difference between a leader and a conqueror, and just what power means as well. And it's a story that I enjoyed so much. As I just mentioned, I reread it and loved it just as much. I had forgotten so many details and I was so glad to be just refreshed by them, and I had a bomb time. I recommended this book to a friend of mine and he enjoyed it just as much, and it's great. It's a great book and I can't stress that enough. A lot of people do say that the book starts off very slow, but I mean, it didn't feel that way. It does take its time into developing the world in which you're going to spend the next 3 books in, so I mean, I thought it was fine. Though it is very interesting how Pierce Brown makes this setup for the world in which Darrow lives as a Red, and then it all is just thrown out the window as you realize that it's all a lie, that Darrow has been living a lie, and you just have to discover this new world all over again. So it was very interesting and very exciting. For the trilogy as a whole, they're all very different. I enjoyed them all immensely, but Red Rising does remain as my favorite book of the whole trilogy, which is not to say that the sequels are bad. Not at all. But that raw element that I'm talking about is not in the sequels. So, yes, Red Rising just has a very special place within my heart. Of course, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars back then and now, and it stands. It stands. Of course, I recommend it. I hope you guys have read it. If you read it, I hope you liked it, that you enjoyed it a lot. If you didn't like it, why didn't you like it? Do let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Stay tuned for my review of Golden Sun. I hope you watch it, and just thank you again for being here. Bye!